Hello. Oh, sorry about that, guys. No, my microphone wasn't working. Geez. All right, so we're back. Hey, guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. Sorry about that rough start. As always, you already know I was, running late. Okay, I don't know what else to say. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the migrant problem out here in Mexico. I myself, right now, again, the reason I was late is because I was being held up by immigration officials, and I was stuck. I'm about to get deported until I told them, hey, wait a minute, amigos, I'm a permanent resident here. Don't deport me. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry, Jose. It's just that we got an executive order from Biden to deport your ass. They want you back in the USA for some reason. And so I was like, oh no, and just kind of. Sorry, guys. I apologize. All right, hold on. Let's get started here with a. All right. So, anyways, welcome back, guys. Hope you guys are ready for another show, for another live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is very important, and it's actually changing dramatically, which is why I'm actually even bringing this topic up for discussion. As you guys already know, we do these live streams here on the channel every single Thursday, and I try to cover things and talk about things that nobody else is talking about or wants to talk about, but they're important nonetheless, especially if you're thinking about making Mexico your new home. And even if you're not thinking about making Mexico your new home, it's still probably very important to you to know what's going on, since Mexico is basically your neighbor next door. So let's just get right into it, okay? Now, again, there's been a lot of changes recently, and that's what we're going to be talking about today because, right now there's an election year in the USA. Mexico also had an election year. We just, again, we were just talking about the election the last couple of episodes. So therefore, we have a new president, a new regime. Even though it's the same party and a lot of the same things, things are changing. Things are changing, and a lot of it always has to do with the USA. It's just, it's a fact. It is what it is, especially since, again, look how the close proximity for anyone that's still living under a rock and doesn't know where the United States is relative to Mexico. And basically that the U.S. empire still rules the world, despite what a lot of people out there think or say about what's going on with all that. There's still the empire. And if the mighty empire says XYZ, well, so basically if the USA says jump, other countries are always saying how high. And so not always, but at least in this case, when it comes to the migration situation, we're seeing things are starting to change. Now, from some of you guys out there that are new out there and might not know some of the things that I talk about, I do go a little deep, okay, with a lot of this stuff. And I used to not go so deep, and then recently I've been starting to go deep again. And what do I mean by deep? Well, we're gonna really go and see what's going on, okay, with what the situation is. So for some of you guys out there that still have no idea what's going on, there's been a giant migrant crisis, okay, in the USA, but it's also been affecting Mexico, and it's also been affecting, basically Central America, okay, Latin America, the Caribbean, and I could go on and on. But let's just get into it real quick about the USA. So again, I don't have to tell you guys about it. You guys are living up there, and you guys know what's going on. But basically the situation at the border, it's been an ongoing issue for a few years now. During Biden's administration, again, some people are for immigration, some people are against immigration. I'm just here to let you guys know the facts, and then you guys out there in the audience, you guys make up your own minds, okay? You guys can think for yourselves, okay? You guys are all adults and humans out there, so you guys can figure it out on your own. But long story short, the facts, from what the media tells you, okay, there's been 10 million immigrants that have crossed from Mexico into the USA in the last couple of years, in the last several years. The reality is that those figures might be a lot higher, but they are basically saying, at least admitting to, or declaring 10 million. So minimum 10 million migrants have crossed into the USA. But they're not all Mexican. In fact, like 1-2% of all the migrants crossing into the USA are Mexican. For the most part, they're coming from other countries. All right. But in the last, I think, a couple days or weeks, it seems like Biden has all of a sudden now put a clamp down on how many migrants can actually cross into the USA. And on top of that, now, up until the executive order that he just signed a couple days ago or weeks ago, up until that point, basically every migrant from every corner of the world was coming to the U.S. border and crossing, and they were, given all kinds of help. Okay, and they were either settling, somewhere in the southern states, whether California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, whatever, or they were being transported to other parts of the country. Namely, one of the main places that for whatever reason they're being shipped to is New York. And so, there's all kinds of migrant crises happening throughout the country. Okay. And so basically, whether it's because of the election coming up or because of, again, other reasons, which, we're kind of, again, discuss and you guys can make up your own mind. It seems like the tides are turning. Okay. So Biden signed an executive order, basically. Again, I don't know the exact details of the order, but basically kind of saying, hey, we're closing the border. We're not really allowing anybody else in. We're not going to process anybody else. And if we catch you crossing the border, we're going to deport you back to Mexico. Again, not deport you back to your country, to Mexico. So, for example, if you are an immigrant coming from Venezuela, okay? If you're coming from Venezuela, you're coming from, some Latin American country somewhere far away, and you made it all the way to the U.S. border, instead of them transporting you back, deporting you back to your home country, what they're doing is that they're deporting you to Mexico. Okay. And, up until then, when things were happening like that, what Mexico would do is just kind of like hold them there. All right. Until they were allowed to go into the USA. But since now it seems like they're just being deported straight up and they're not going to be allowed back into the USA, Mexico is now starting to deport them as well. Okay, and so that's what we're going to be talking about now because, again, think about it. You're crossing into Texas or crossing into San Diego or whatever it is. You're crossing up there and then now they're deporting you all the way down here to the bottom of Mexico because they're not. Mexico is not deporting you to your home country. Mexico don't care, all right? And so Mexico is basically saying, all right, we're going to deport you back all the way down to here, okay? Tapachula, okay? Tapachula is a border town, border city right there, okay? On the border of Guatemala and Mexico, okay? And that's basically right here. We're going to go through all this, okay? But basically all the immigrants, okay? That are, okay, so, all right, let's just back it up, all right? So basically, all the immigrants, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, whether you're coming from China, India, Venezuela, Brazil, whatever, okay? Most of the immigrants, what they're doing these days is that they are, finding their way all the way to this area here, okay, where the border of Colombia, okay, and Panama is, and this is called the Darien Gap, okay? And they basically, go to the Darien Gap, okay? And then they got to cross this jungle. As you can see, there's no roads. There's no nothing out here. It's just jungle. So they got to cross all this on foot. Some of the most dangerous jungle in the world, if not the most dangerous. And they got to cross all this on foot. Once they cross on foot, they basically, make their way all the way through Panama, all the way to Costa Rica, all the way through Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala. And then they make their way all the way here to Tapachula. Okay, and once they get to Tapachula, they're basically detained, all right? And once they're detained, they're given papers or given whatever, and then eventually they leave that area from Tapachula, okay? Look how far away Tapachula is, all the way down there. And then they make their way from there all the way through Mexico City, and then from Mexico City, they are basically sent on their way, depending on where they're going, either through Texas, okay, or, all the way up through New Mexico or all the way to Baja California area, okay? But with the recent situation that's happening now, in which, again, Biden said, all right, no more. We're deporting everybody. We're not taking anybody, which, again, we're going to talk about in a second as well. Now what they're doing is that, they're deporting all these people from all these countries. They're deporting them to to Mexico again. So now they're on the border of Mexico again, but now Mexico is not holding them anymore. So Mexico's starting to deport everybody. Okay, Mexico's had enough. And again, we're gonna go deeper into all that. But anyways, Mexico's had enough, and now they're deporting them. And they're not, again, they don't have the financial situation to be deporting you back to your home country. So what they're doing is they're deporting you where you came in from. So you basically came in Tapachula, and so now you got to figure out a way, okay, to get from Tapachula all the way back to wherever you came from. So think about it. If now all of a sudden you're from Venezuela, okay, you're escaping Venezuela, or you're escaping Haiti or Cuba, and now what they're doing is now they're just basically bringing you to Tapachula, and then once you get there, they're pushing you across the border into Guatemala. So now they're making it Guatemala's problem, and now from there you got to figure out a way to how to get back home. Yeah, that's right. Because they've been interviewing migrants, okay? And they're basically saying, man, this is like the worst. This is the worst. Why, if they're going to deport us, can you just at least deport us back to our home countries instead of deporting us here in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nothing? And again, one can easily say, well, you should have thought about that before you came all the way over here. But again, a lot of people that have made their way on this horrible trek all the way through the Americas have been told a lie. They've been sold a lie that basically, well, not everybody's been sold a lie, but still, the point I'm making is that they've been sold the idea that if you make it all the way to the USA, you're going to get free money, free everything, a job. You're going to be able to, get the American dream, and the borders are wide open. So, what are you waiting for? Get your ass over here. And so now, as the years have gone on and the people have crossed into the USA, a lot of these migrants are now, man, this sucks. I should have just stayed in Venezuela. I should have just stayed in my home country. Why did I come to the USA? They're either homeless or stuck in other migrant camps all over the USA, or they got to go to work like you and everybody else in the USA, and they're like, man, this sucks. Oh, everything about this sucks. And now they got to figure out a way to get out of there. And then those are the ones that can cross into the USA, because many get stuck in Mexico. And they have been stuck in Mexico for years. And a lot of them get stuck in the Mexico City area. All right. And it's become a major problem. The same problem that like New York City is having and other cities are having with migrants. Well, Mexico City is also having. Okay. But no one talks about this. It's not anywhere. I wish I could show you more videos, or videos on this, but the reality is that you're going to have to do some research on your own and check out for these videos. They're all over the internet. But I can't really show them because I'll get copyright striked or a strike, or I'll get in trouble. And I'm not here trying to start combating all these news outlets over fair use of the content that that's out there. But anyways, long story short, all the content's out there. Just go out there and find it, and you can see it for yourself. So a lot of them are congregating in areas like Mexico City or Juarez or Tijuana or whatever, and all these areas have all these border towns, have all these migrant camps and all these horrible situations, and the Mexicans are growing tired of a lot of these migrants. And at the same time, the same thing that's happening in the USA, where a lot of Mexicans are saying, hey, what's going on here? Why are you giving them resources when we need those resources? We're poor. We need money. We need jobs. We need food. We need all these things. Why are you giving it to these people? And especially since a lot of them, they don't want to work. Now, it depends on the country they're coming from. But like, let's say if you're coming from Haiti, a Haitian, comes to Mexico and they go to work. They want to work. They come from a different mentality. But if you're coming from Cuba or Venezuela, which are communist countries, and they are used to not working, they are used to just having their hand out. And again, like a lot of Americans, having their hand out and gimme, I don't want to work. Well, that doesn't play in Mexico. Everyone in Mexico works very hard. So now a bunch of, again, Venezuelans or Cubans or other people that are coming into Mexico and saying, gimme, and I don't want to work. And so Mexicans are like, whoa, who the fuck? Get out of here. Who are you? Get out of here. So now finally, whether it has to do with Scheinbaum as a new president or not, or whether it has to do with Biden's executive order or not, or whether there's a collaborative effort between Mexico, the USA, and other countries in order to finally put a stop to this or not, it's happening. And we're going to go deeper into this. But long story short, as soon as just a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, it seems that now there has been a large push to basically deport everybody or get rid of everybody. So all over Mexico City, especially in the northern parts of Mexico City, there has been a lot of migrant camps. And a lot of these migrant camps have been around areas like I think the place is called Comar or something like that. But basically, these are they are like humanitarian. They're Mexican institutions, Mexican government institutions. But what they're in charge of is the immigration of asylum seekers. Okay, and so basically how it was working up until very recently is that anyone, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you cross all the way and you get yourself to Mexico City, and then first of all, you got to go through Tapachula, and then from Tapachula they process you, and then you make your way to Mexico City. Once you get to Mexico City and you get to those offices of Comar, then you get your appointment and you get seen by the officials, and then they give you asylum and they give you residency, temporary residency, or they give you a visitor's permit or whatever. It depends on who you are and where you're coming from and what's your deal. And then once you get your papers, then you're allowed to continue traversing through Mexico. Okay, and then once you get to the border, okay, what's going on is that, what a lot of migrants were doing is that they were getting rid of their papers, their Mexican papers, so that they can cross into the USA with no papers at all, okay, so they can get all the benefits. All right, but again, this is, a whole complicated issue. But as I've been doing research for today's live stream and looking into what's really been going on, I was very surprised to see what's going on. So, like I said, step number one was that Biden said, all right, we're not going to be accepting any more migrants. Step number two, Mexico is now deporting and basically breaking up all these migrant camps and starting to, get rid of everybody. So, for example, the people in the migrant camps in Mexico City, they were basically just cleaned out. You know what I mean? How they do in the USA when there's a bunch of homeless people living in certain areas, and then they go in and they just clean out the whole area and kick everybody out and push everybody out. Okay, so Mexico City started to do that. And then they were giving these migrants options, in some cases, not all cases. Some cases, they were just, getting rid of them. But what they were doing is they were saying, okay, we're going to either return you all the way back down to Tapachula, all the way down, by Guatemala, so you can make your way back home, or we're going to bus you to another part of Mexico. Okay, so you want to go to Puebla, you want to go to whatever. We're going to just bus you, take you to another part of Mexico, and, we're going to process you there, and then once you're processed there, well, you can start your new life in Mexico. And so some people, like, okay, fine, whatever. We don't want to go to the USA anymore, or they change their mind or whatever. They don't have much of a choice. So then they end up doing that. And then when they get to their destination and they think that they're going to, again, get processed and then be able to start their new life in Mexico, basically what happens is as soon as the bus gets to the Mexican state that they were taken to, they get thrown out of the bus leaves, and they just leave them there. Yeah, anyways. So there's been a lot of things going on, but like I said, step number one, Biden signed an executive order not allowing any more immigrants in, okay? Step number two, Mexico is now starting to deport people from these migrant camps, okay? So basically, if you don't have any paperwork or you haven't been processed yet, by the way, don't forget to hit the likes and subscribe if you haven't already. But anyways, if you haven't been processed or you don't have your paperwork yet, they're deporting you. Basically, they're deporting you from wherever, basically, even if you're on the border, okay, or in Mexico City or wherever they find you, they're taking you back all the way here to Tapachula. And then once you're in Tapachula, this is a huge mess, okay, of what's going on out here. And then basically from here, they're basically being pushed into Guatemala, all right? And then you got to find your way back home, all right? And Guatemala is, if Mexico is in no shape to take on all these immigrants, Guatemala isn't either, okay? Guatemala is in even worse shape to handle all this right now. So that's kind of what's going on, but it goes a little deeper, okay? Because the more I researched, the more I realized, oh, wait a minute. So remember how we started the episode when we were talking about the fact that a lot of people, doesn't matter what country you're coming from. It could be China, India, Pakistan, Venezuela, Haiti, whatever. What a lot of people are doing is that, let's say you're coming from Haiti or you're coming from Venezuela, you end up here at the Darien Gap, okay? So you end up there at the Darien Gap where you see where the red dot is. And then from there, you got to cross some of the most dangerous jungle, okay, on the planet. And a lot of people don't survive. There's a channel out there, Bald and Bankrupt, which I thoroughly enjoy, and I hope you guys can check him out sometime. But on that channel, I think 6 months ago or a year ago, he crossed. Okay, this is a British guy, okay? He was doing this, for the lulz, okay? He was doing it for the views, for the video. But he took the migrant journey. Okay, I think he started off on the border of Venezuela, made it, crossing through Colombia, and then he crossed on foot with the migrants through the Darien Gap. And it's, when you watch his videos, which again, I'm sure it's a lot worse than what he was showing in the videos, but it's bad. It's bad, okay? So anyways, there's a new president in Panama, okay? So it's not just a new president in Mexico, there's new presidents in many countries, Colombia, I think Honduras, whatever, right? But we're talking about the Darien Gap in Panama right now. So what's going on is that now the new president of Panama is said, all right, we're preparing to close the Darien Gap. Now, Colombia hasn't said anything yet, but at the very least, they're closing this end here. Meaning that it doesn't matter if you cross, once you get to this end, they're going to bring you back, okay? Oh, sorry, I thought you can see my cursor. But for example, you'll cross the Darien Gap and end up maybe here, okay? And then from there, come on, hold on. I'm trying to drop something here so you guys can see. Okay, whatever. Hey, come on. All right, whatever. There you go. Why is it not? Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get a... Okay, there we go. Okay. So let's say that, you finally cross the Darien Gap and you end up there. Now what Panama's planning to do is that they're planning on just deporting or pushing everybody back into Colombia. So now what Colombia has to do is, again, which Colombia's, not right now, right? Colombia's government is not necessarily in cahoots with the USA anymore. But long story short, Panama is now starting to close, okay, the Darien Gap, okay? And that's their plan, and it seems like they're going to execute on that. So think about it. Let's just go, put our little tinfoil hat on for 1 second. And what's been going on the last several years, The last several years, the USA has been flooded with a bunch of immigrants, okay? For whatever reason, again, everybody, you can put on your tinfoil hat and you can figure out, or you can... formulate why you think that was happening. A lot of people are just basically saying, oh, the immigrants are coming into the USA so they can do the jobs that the Americans don't want to do. Or, again, an immigrant can do a job for $7 an hour or less as opposed to $20 an hour or more. All right. So whatever. So there's a lot of reasons why there's all these immigrants coming into the USA. All right. But again, as Biden said with his executive order recently, is that now he's stopping the influx of immigration. Which, by the way, it's not really happening, all right? We're going to go deeper into that in a second. But I just kind of want to set the stage here. So all these immigrants that have been crossing for all these years, and the gates have been wide open to allow everybody to just, flock into the USA without a problem. Now, all of a sudden, they closed the gates, okay? And now that they closed the gates, well, now all these people are stuck in Mexico. And Mexico has already had enough because this has been ongoing for years in Mexico. And Mexico has had enough because depending on the migrant, depending on how Mexico feels about you. If you're coming from Cuba or Venezuela, they are not happy. They are not happy about that, okay? And because, again, you're asking for handouts and you don't want to work and you're being a burden and you're bringing crime and you're bringing, you know, a bunch of stuff. If you're coming from Haiti, you know, they like you because you work hard, but then they don't like you because you're black. Yeah, that's right. I said it. It's the truth, you know? And I can go on and on. Every country is different, okay? But you know, some people are choosing to stay in Mexico and others are not, you know, and the ones that are not, well, they're being kicked out. They're not even, Mexico's not wasting any more time. They are, like I said, I just can't think of the word right now. Desalojo, that's how you say it in Spanish. But basically, they are emptying out these migrant camps that are all over the place and pushing everybody out, okay? And so when I was doing some research, okay, this is something I found from, I think, CNBC or CNN, whatever. This is something, the CNBC thing from a couple hours ago. Basically, what they're saying is that at the border, the U.S. Border Patrol, is still allowing people into the USA. But what they're doing is that they're checking and seeing where you're from. So basically, this is what the U.S. Border Patrol is doing despite President Biden's executive order, okay? So President Biden's executive order is basically saying, all right, we're not accepting anybody else anymore. But what the Border Patrol is doing, at least in California, but I'm guessing it's in other places as well, what the Border Patrol is actually doing is that they are allowing migrants from every country to still cross into the USA, get processed, and, you know, let loose, except for people that are coming from Mexico, Guatemala, Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and El Salvador, and Honduras. So basically, if you're coming from Mexico, Cuba, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, or Venezuela, okay, any one of these countries here in the Caribbean, but mainly, I'm guessing that they're pointing at Venezuela and Cuba more than anything else, and Venezuela and Honduras, whatever. Anyways, because okay, Venezuela and Cuba, you know, they're looking to escape communism, okay, and they are lazy. Okay, look, I'm Cuban. It is what it is. Okay, they're lazy because of communism. All right, so Venezuela and Cuba, you know, they're bringing, you know, a bunch of lazy people to the USA, and the USA is like, no, we don't want lazy people with their hand out. We want people to work hard, okay? People from Haiti, you know, again, the racism thing, I don't want to get into all that. People from Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, they're not necessarily leaving a bad situation in their countries. They just want more money. So they're just leaving for economic opportunity. And then Mexico, well, you know, that's a different story. You know, most Mexicans that are crossing into the USA, I mean, think about it. Let's say that you are Mexican and you live in Nogales, okay? You live in one of these areas right here on the border, and you know that all you got to do is cross into the USA with no ID, no nothing, and they give you money, they give you cell phones, they give you all kinds of stuff, and then all you got to do is just, you know, again, do a U-turn, go back into Mexico, you know, leave that there, and then go back into the USA and pick up your check again. Again, keep passing go, and keep, you know, wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, so that's what's going on there. All right? But anyways, if you're coming from any other country that's not those countries, you are being allowed in. Okay? So if you're coming from China, if you're coming from India, if you're coming from Brazil, if you're coming from Argentina, if you're coming from basically all these other countries, they are allowing them, they're still allowing you into the USA. All right? And then a lot of these countries have a lot of easier passage, okay, to get through Mexico than other people, okay? And so that's what's going on right now. So right now, you know, the reality is that, you know, there's something fishy going on, but it's up to you, you know, whether, you know, you want to put on your tinfoil hat or not. You know, why is it that some countries are still being allowed in and some countries are not being allowed in anymore, all right? But what's going on is that now all of these other immigrants, you know, immigrants from Haiti, immigrants from Guatemala, immigrants from El Salvador, Venezuela, Cuba, all these immigrants are now getting stuck in Mexico. And so if you are from Venezuela or Cuba, for example, okay, Mexico's not really processing you through immigration. So you're going to just be stuck there, again, depending on who you are, but there's a high likely chance that you're not going to get any kind of immigration papers in Mexico. So you're going to be in Mexico illegally. All right. And but if you're like from Haiti or other countries, they are processing you, or you're at least able to, work and do things. So there's a lot of Haitians that are setting up shop, and there are all kinds of little Haitis all over Mexico now. And you see like tons of little Haitians, little Haitian towns and little Haitian neighborhoods all over Mexico now. And now, again, they're setting up shop and they're living amongst the Mexicans. So, there's a coordinated effort now, just like there was a coordinated effort not too long ago to allow the safe passage of so many immigrants through the Darien Gap, through Central America, through Mexico, to the U.S. border, and then from the U.S. border being dispersed through the USA. Now, all of a sudden, that's being put to a stop. And there's a coordinated effort to bring that to a stop. So, during the whole time that I've been living here in Mexico, the last 6 years, I know that this has been a problem. But Mexico hasn't really done anything about it. Mexico hasn't really deported anybody. Mexico really hasn't addressed this issue too much, despite many Mexicans being very upset with all these migrants, just like a lot of Americans are upset with all these migrants. Now, the thing is that at least in Mexico, they have that, they were at least with some sort of... what's the word I'm looking for? They were at least looking forward to the fact that a lot of these immigrants, they were just passing through, and they were really on their way to the USA. So at the very least, they had that in mind. Okay, and so they were, they were worried, they were upset, they were whatever, but it wasn't that big of a deal per se because, a lot of them were just basically moving on to the USA, and then the ones that would stay in Mexico, well, they were contributing to the economy. They were helping out. They were doing all this stuff. But in the last year or so, there has been a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a traffic jam, or there's been like a situation where basically they have not been processing as many immigrants or migrants as they used to, or not processing them at all. Or in the case of what's been going on like in Mexico City, they were just closing the offices altogether. So imagine all these migrants that have been coming through Mexico, going to Mexico City, for example, camping around that Comar area, that immigration facility type place to get their paperwork, and then all of a sudden that place closes down and those people are left high and dry, and they're waiting for the offices to open up again, or at least be told where they got to go get their paperwork. And then before they know it, the Mexican authorities are coming in with bulldozers and all kinds of shit to clear everybody out. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see what's kind of going on with all that. And at the end of the day, now what's been going on is that a lot of people are just now being brought all the way back out here to this area, okay, Tapachula in Chiapas, and right on the Guatemalan border. And this has been an issue that's been going on for a while, because again, think about it, this route that a lot of people are taking, okay, think about it, it's the same drug route, okay, that the cartels use. So basically the drugs come from, Bolivia, whatever, down here, okay, Colombia, whatever, okay, they come down from down here in South America, okay, Bolivia, Colombia, whatever. The drugs come from down there, and they cross through the same kind of passage, okay? They make their way all the way through Central America. Again, basically skirting the coast, okay? You can see they come through, you see these roads down here, okay? And then they make their way all the way, again, just skirting the coast. Skirt the coast, again, this is why some of these areas down here on the lower end, okay, on the lower end of Mexico are some of the most dangerous, okay, because the ones that are skirting the coast, Acapulco, Oaxaca, whatever, all these areas, because, well, this is what the cartels use to transport the drugs. And not just the drugs, but now the people. And then, once they get to a certain area out here, then they start spreading and they start moving their way. And then, it's basically they're heading towards Texas, they're heading towards New Mexico, Arizona, or they're heading towards Los Angeles. Okay, does that make sense? So the same thing is going on with the people. And so now, coming to what the cartels are doing, again, the cartels, they're just about business. I've said it multiple times. So whether they're transporting drugs or they're transporting, humans, human trafficking, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all they see is money. So basically, they're waiting for you here at the border. In fact, they're such good businessmen that they've made their way all the way over here to the Darien Gap. Okay, and as you're making your way towards the Darien Gap, you got to pay them. Okay, even that bald and bankrupt guy, that channel that I told you about, even he had to pay them, all right, just to cross, and then they guide you through all the way until you get to the border. And then once you get to the border, okay, then they guide you again. Again, it's all for money. Obviously, you got to pay along the way. And then they guide you until you get to Mexico City. And then once you get to Mexico City, you're being held there until you can pay the next toll, the next fine, the next whatever. And then from there, then you're transported all the way up to the border. Okay? And so, obviously, drugs, are different than human trafficking, but it's kind of like the same thing. This is why, by the way, where I live all the way out here in Mérida. Okay? But this is why an area like Mérida or the Yucatan, for the most part, is very safe. Because you see how far away they are from these routes. We don't have any immigration problems over here. We don't have any drug problems over here or anything like that. Obviously, there's drugs and all that stuff that are still transported through here. But again, let's say they're coming from Colombia, from Colombia, and then they make their way to Cuba. And then from Cuba, they make their way to Miami. All right. Or then, again, like I said, Colombia, Cuba, Cancun. And then from Cancun, they just skirt all the way up to there. Okay. But that's basically it. But there's no like human trafficking happening. It's just drugs, okay? But all that human movement is coming through the South, okay? And it's coming through here. And like I said, it's affecting all of these countries. Because, like I said, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, it's not like they're the richest countries in the world. So those countries are also tagging along. They see the big migrant wave of people that have been, coming to the USA for years. And so now they're tagging along. But now, like I said, everybody's being pushed back, okay? Except certain immigrants. Like I said, if you're anywhere from Central America, you're being pushed back to your country. But if you're coming from Asia, if you're coming from, other parts of the world, Africa, whatever, you're still being allowed in the USA. Okay? And, but it's still basically the same thing. All right? They still got to pay their way through. Okay? And so, they've interviewed a bunch of migrants, throughout the years, that have crossed, this whole path. And, basically they all say, that the most difficult part of the trip is going through Mexico. It's not going through Colombia or the Darien Gap or any one of these other areas that are actually very dangerous. When it comes to like the environment. Okay, the reality is that what's really going on is that like the most dangerous part is Mexico, because once these migrants get to Mexico, now they get extorted all the way till they get to the border, whether they're getting extorted by the cartel or by the police or by immigration or by all three. Plus, a lot of the Mexicans have already grown tired. So the Mexican citizens are not treating a lot of these migrants very well either. And all of them say that the most difficult and the most horrendous part was, is crossing through Mexico. And there was this train called La Bestia, the Beast. And I don't know where the where the train starts or ends or whatever, but basically a lot of these migrants would make their way to that train, and then that train would fill up with so many migrants, okay? Like it was mostly migrants on these trains, and then these trains were bringing everybody to the border, the US border. But again, recently, in the last like several weeks or days, even that train is now being stopped. And the immigration is now, basically literally, pushing all these people off the train. Like, you're not going to get to the U.S. border. Because, again, if right now, once you get to the U.S. border, we got to deport your ass all the way back down to South Mexico, we're just going to save everybody some money and save everybody a trip. And if we can get you off or we can find you before you even get up all the way up there, the better. So yeah, you know what I mean? So right now, you know what I mean? That's kind of like what's going on right now. It's pretty interesting to see this giant turn when it comes to the migrant problem. But as it pertains to Mexico, because that's what we're talking about here now, we're mostly talking about Mexico. Most Mexicans right now are extremely happy that finally the government is doing something about this. Okay? Because a lot of Mexicans that love AMLO and love Morena and love all that, that's going on there, a lot of them, one of the negative aspects, one of the things that they didn't like about their president or what's going on is the fact that, well, he wasn't really addressing the migrant issue. And think about it. The same situation that's happening in New York and other areas where all these migrants are just basically flooding and oversaturating the whole area and the resources and all this other stuff. Well, the same thing was happening in Mexico, and the Mexican people were really upset over this. But now, finally, the Mexican government, whether it's because of Claudia's election or Biden or a combination or whatever it is, they're now finally getting pushed out, really getting pushed out, which is something that is, again, very new to Mexico, because Mexico doesn't necessarily do that. Mexico's always been very, very, very open door policy when it comes to immigration. The thing is that, most people don't know that, because most people don't want to come to Mexico to live in Mexico. But it has been an open door policy, with immigration in Mexico, because I talk about it all the time. If you're coming from the USA or Canada or Europe, it's fairly easy to get your residency here in Mexico, despite what you might hear on other YouTube channels and other areas out there where they keep saying, oh, it's so difficult. Oh, you're never going to get residency. Oh, you don't have the financial requirements. Blah, blah, blah. The reality is that it's always been extremely easy for the most part to get your residency in Mexico. As long as you can prove you live in Mexico, it's pretty easy. But other than that, the same goes for every other immigrant for the most part. Okay? There were still some countries that had difficulty when it came to migrating to Mexico. But for the most part, everybody has been allowed in, and it's always been an open door policy. But like I said, when you got the USA right next door, most migrants that are coming from whatever, Pakistan, it doesn't matter, or, pick your country, okay? A lot of them don't want to go to Mexico. A lot of them are like, well, wait a minute. The USA is right there. Why not just go to the land of the milk and the honey? The land of the free, the land of the, where the American dream, yada, yada, yada. So most people basically just go to the USA, and they never really even consider Mexico. With what's been going on in recent years, a lot of migrants have reconsidered and stayed in Mexico. And again, it all depends. Some people that leave their home country, wherever that is on the planet, at the end of the day, everyone leaves for a different reason. So if you're leaving your home country, okay, and you're looking for freedom, well, a lot of times they just end up settling in Mexico. Mexico has a rich history of immigration, just like the USA. Obviously, it's not the USA. USA has an even richer history with immigration and migrants and immigrants and all that stuff, throughout this, throughout the decades and hundreds of years, but that's, another story. But Mexico is not that far behind, okay? It's just that you don't hear too much about that. But the reality is like I said, as the USA is not as desirable, or Canada even, or USA and Canada are not as desirable as they once were. Well, now a lot of migrants are choosing to come to Mexico. And Mexico is also getting flooded with a bunch of immigrants, from all over the world, okay? From China, from Europe, from, Africa, from, the Middle East, and so on and so forth, from India, whatever, okay? From South America, okay? And I could go on and on and on. And so, that's going to continue. And so now I think it's going to be, where Mexico's saying, okay, we're only going to allow you in Mexico if you are planning to stay in Mexico. Either you're coming here as a tourist to visit, or you're coming out here to stay for good. And in that case, okay, we'll process you. We'll help you out so you can stay out here. But if you're just crossing through Mexico illegally so you can get to the USA, no way, Jose, you're going back. All right. So that's what's kind of happening. And especially now, since Biden has already put that executive order in that he is deporting everybody. So back to the tinfoil hat. Again, in my estimation, I feel like everything that's been going on in recent months or a year has been just setting the stage that Trump gets elected again. Because again, think about it. The Democrats, they have a bunch of people that they could have picked, okay, to run against Trump. But who do they pick? You know, the guy that shits his pants, okay? So that's who they picked, you know, to go against Trump, all right? And I think it's basically bringing all of the people, okay, to be on the same page to elect Trump, okay? Just so that he can bring in that law and order, okay? But again, all this law and order and bureaucracy takes a while. So, you know, Biden is probably already setting the stage so that once Trump comes in, he can really clamp down and really, you know, start, you know, deporting and really build that wall or whatever, okay? So, and really bring in that law and order that he's promising everybody, that everybody is looking forward to. Yeah, good luck with all that, guys, all right? I'm not even going to touch that subject, all right? But anyways, have fun with that law and order that's coming, all right? Like, if you thought it was bad now, it's going to get way worse, all right? You know, you think you hated cops before in the USA. Anyways, so with all that said, I think it's just setting the stage for all that, honestly. You know what I mean? It's getting everybody on the same page so that everybody can, you know, be okay, you know, with what's going to happen, all right, what's already happening, okay? And then that's it, you know? And then, obviously, you know, Mexico's just doing their part as well because it's like, well, this is now... basically, what is it, causing a problem for us in Mexico? You know, Mexico, you know, that's what they're saying or thinking, whatever. So, and we're done. You know, the USA doesn't need us to allow safe passage for these people anymore. And we can't keep them here. You know, we're not going to be allowing these camps. You know, we got no free food or housing or anything like that for them. So we're just going to deport their ass. And we're not going to deport them to their home country because we ain't got the resources for that. So we're just going to, you know, bring them back to Tapachula. And I think that that's also like a signal or basically letting everybody else know, all the other potential future immigrants know that if they cross all the way to, you know, through the Darien Gap, through the Central America, through all that to get to Mexico, so they think that they can cross all the way, you know, through Mexico to get to the USA. They're basically saying, hey, listen, if we catch you anywhere along the line in Mexico, we're not going to deport you to your home country. Oh, no. We're going to deport you back to the border, and you got to walk your ass back all the way you came from. Okay? And so, obviously, it's already bad enough that you got to cross all this. At the least, you know, most people have the... optimism that they're going to go to the land of the milk and honey, or they're going to go to a better place. They're going to be able to make more money. They're going to be able to do all these things. And so they obviously sacrifice themselves so they can get to that point, you know, to the U.S. border. But now they're being told, hey, listen, you know, not only are we going to deport your ass, but we're going to deport your ass to the starting line, and you got to make your way backwards all the way you came from. And if you make, again, a lot of people that cross all this, they cross, you know, all that with no resources, all right? Basically no food, you know, broken shoes, no clothes, no nothing. And they barely make it to Mexico, let alone make it to the U.S. border. So now they're getting deported back to the Mexico-Guatemala border, and they got even less than what they started with, and now they got to cross back. I mean, you know, it's terrible. So that's kind of like what's going on right now, and it's kind of interesting how it's all happening like that. It's all just happening, right? Like overnight. It almost seemed like overnight they opened the borders and allowed all these people in. Well, now basically the same thing, you know, basically within a few hours, a few days time, a few weeks time, they've reversed everything, reverse course now. And now it's going in reverse. So it is pretty interesting to see what's going on with all that and how it's all going to develop, okay? And how it's all going to be affecting everybody going forward. Now, you know, I know a lot of people out there are very worried, you know, because, by the way, I've been hearing a lot of noise or a lot of comments ever since the new president-elect Claudia Sheinbaum took office, even though she hasn't taken office officially yet, but, you know, she won the election and she's becoming president. There's so many people out there that are now afraid to come to Mexico because they think Mexico is going to turn communist, or they're going to, they're part of the NWO, or they're, Claudia Scheinbaum just because she has a Jewish name that, so many comments that have no foundation behind them except fear. People are just scared and they don't know any better. And, to me, it's just all part of the plan. You know what I mean? Like, to keep everybody scared and keep everybody where they're at. Remember, that wall that they're building on the U.S. border is to keep you in, okay? Not to keep anybody out, all right? You guys have already seen that. So I think it's more of that. Obviously, they're going to just scare everybody, one shape, form, or another, from coming to Mexico as usual. And then by the time that you realize that it was, scare tactics to keep you out of Mexico, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I want to go to Mexico, it's going to be a little too late, too late, okay? And you're really not going to be able to escape or leave. So just take all that into consideration, okay? Don't be believing the hype. Do your own research, do your own homework, okay? I don't understand, people that are scared that Mexico's going to become communist, and you're coming from the USA or Canada, which are already communist, or close to it already, or fascist, or whatever you want to call it. It's like, really? So it's like, whatever, man. You guys believe whatever you want to believe, and you guys, think however you want to think. And again, this is a free country, or free world, or free whatever. It's up to you to make up your own mind and do your own research. I can only point you in the right direction. It's up to you whether or not you guys want to take that information or not. And again, I know a lot of people out there would rather believe the hype, would rather believe lies, would rather make excuses as to why they can't do XYZ anymore, and blame somebody else except for themselves. And that could go on and on and on. But long story short, a lot of that, look, there's a lot of fear in Mexico by a small few elitist groups in Mexico that are very scared of the new president, and so on and so forth. And so a lot of same thing, a lot of Americans or Canadians are afraid of the new president for whatever reason, thinking that she's gonna turn this country into a communist country, which is like, it's very laughable. Again, I'm Cuban. Okay, and my parents come from they escaped communism, and I've been there before, and I escaped the USA. So if anyone, is, knows a little bit more about what communism really looks like, or capitalism looks like, would be me. And again, I don't know anything. Please, again, I'm a guy with a fake talking horse. It's about time you acknowledge me. You never even talk about me anymore. Anyway, so like I said, I'm here talking to a fake horse. Don't listen to me. I don't know nothing. I don't know anything, all right? But all I'm saying is that I think I've experienced, things that are pretty close to communism before, and they suck. They suck, okay? They really do suck, all right? And ever since I've been in Mexico, Mexico's anything but. Okay, there's a spectrum, okay? All the way over here, by Lambo's head, this is communism, okay? And then if you go all the way to the other end of the spectrum over here, okay, it's capitalism, okay? Mexico's all the way over here. And over here by Lambo's head, okay, this is communism, okay? All right? And Mexico is closer to the capitalist, okay? And the USA is closer to the communist tyranny, whatever you want to call it. Same as Canada, all right? Look, a lot of people even confuse China. A lot of people think China is 100% communist. They're not. China is a lot more. By the way, I had like a gazillion viewers, and then I lost a lot of viewers. I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm talking too much, all right? This is why I don't talk too much about these things on my channel. But long story short, China is actually more capitalist than they are communist. And the USA is more communist, okay, or tyrannical than they are capitalist, all right? But that's just the truth. And so Mexico is the same thing. Mexico is extremely capitalist, all right? This is why the cartels run the country, and they're allowed to do whatever the hell they want because they're the oligarchs, okay? They're the ones that really run the country. There's corporations, and there's, obviously there's a lot of power structures here in Mexico that have basically, created this giant disparity between the haves and the have-nots. And this is why you have seen the Morena party rise up in power, okay? And they have, not just risen up in power, but they've continued their reign of power. Again, they just got reelected. In fact, they got, They took over the whole country now, in a sense, all right? And it's because Mexicans, the typical Mexican, has had enough of the oligarchs and all these other power structures, basically controlling Mexico and its resources, and they want the people to have the power, okay? And again, I know for a lot of people, like, oh yeah, Jose, that's how it starts. That's how communism starts, and yada, 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 yada. Listen, like I said, the USA, what was the USA's motto, okay? Back when the founding fathers took over, started the country, all right? It's a land for the people, by the people, all right? So it's the same shit, okay? That's really what everyone wants, okay? They want a land by the people, for the people, okay? And that's really what a republic is. That's really what democracy is and all that stuff. And, the USA has lost its way, just like Canada and other countries. And now, obviously, they see what's going on in Mexico, and they're actually having a real democracy now for the first time in a long time. And now people, they don't even recognize, what a real republic or a real democracy really stands for, or what it looks like, okay? Because they're used to, the system that they have in the USA, where, they have things like gerrymandering, for example, that basically, it doesn't matter who the hell you vote for, they're going to end up voting for whoever they want. They're going to end up putting whoever they want in power, and so on and so forth, all right? Where in Mexico, not only has that changed, but they're continuing to change that and, bringing it back to what it's supposed to be, which is power to the people. And at the end of the day, I've been living here long enough in Mexico to realize that the people really do have the power here. And there are many areas in Mexico where they don't even acknowledge government. They don't even acknowledge elections. They don't even acknowledge any of this, clown show. They just do what they got to do on their own, and that's it. They don't care. Okay? So just FYI, you know what I mean? As to, what's going on with all that and how things are changing dramatically and drastically all over the world, Mexico included, all right? So, Mexico is now starting to deport everybody. Mexico is starting to, again, take control, okay, in many shapes and forms, okay? When it comes to, like, the power to the people, the elections, electoral, whatever, taking power away from the oligarchs, okay? And giving it back to the people, and so on and so forth. All right. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's interesting to see because again, just going back to what's going on with the migrants. I mean, think about it. The powers that be were allowing these migrants in Mexico to take the limited resources that Mexico already has. Again, Mexico's already limited in resources, and they're distributing it to these people that have never even worked a day in their life in Mexico, or never even contributed to Mexico. Okay? So Mexico is finally saying, all right, we're done. We're out. You guys are out of here. Either you're going to contribute or you're getting the F out of here. All right? And so a lot of Mexicans are really, really, really happy with that. Okay? So, just again, you got to take all that into consideration. So if you're out there and you're making excuses, like, oh, I'm not coming to Mexico because the new president, or the new president this, the new president that. Okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to just stay where you're at? Like that's any better? You're having a great time in Vancouver, or, everything is going rosy and peachy in New York City. Yeah, okay, good luck with all that. Have fun. Because again, for anyone that's seriously thinking about, hey, I got to leave the USA or Canada or wherever, and I got to go to Mexico, for example, for a better life and a better everything. Well, you understand that even if, Claudia is horrible, as you might say, is she really going to be worse than whatever's going on in the USA or Canada? Is she really worse than Trudeau or Biden or Trump or whoever? And again, if you educate yourself enough, you really see, how things work out here, and that things don't change. Look, how about this? They legalize, pot, okay? They legalized pot in Mexico over 7 years ago, right? And it's still, they still haven't implemented anything yet. All right, they basically decriminalized it, but you can't really, you can't even have a store, you can't buy it, you can't sell it, you can't whatever, okay? I mean, come on. So what makes you think that anything, let's say that, they're going to start declaring, all these other, horrible things that you're creating in your own mind. What, you think they're just going to do it like that? No, they're not, okay? If you've been in Mexico long enough or have been to Mexico ever, you realize how slow everything is. And it doesn't matter what laws they pass or what decrees they have or whatever they do. The people just do whatever the hell they want. It's always been that way. And that's one of the things I love so much about Mexico. That the Mexicans basically wipe their ass, okay, with the government. All right? They just go with whatever's convenient for them. All right? And this is something I wish more Americans would do. I wish more Americans would bring, and again, realize how powerful they are and that they should be demanding, all right, and forcing the government, okay, to do better, all right? But the reality is that, unfortunately, the USA has become very militarized, all right? The police have been militarized, and if you just step out of line, well, you already know. They're going to make an example out of you. But in Mexico, it doesn't work like that at all, They don't even have anywhere even remotely close to the enforcement agencies or the enforcement they do in the USA, so that's why the people here just do whatever they want. Okay? And some people love that. Some people hate that. I love it. I love the fact that the people live in anarchy and they do whatever the hell they want. And they don't, they just look at the government more like, all right, yeah, sure. You can help us out with this or that or suggestions here or there. And, I'm not trying to diminish the Mexican government because, the Mexican government's still a government and there's still things that are, you got to deal with out here with paperwork and this and that, whatever. But, compared to the USA or Canada, I mean, come on, there's nothing out here. You can be out here without any kind of anything. All right. So, again, in the USA, you can't even fish without a license. All right. So don't even get me started on all that. So, But yeah, anyways, long story short, like this whole idea, that the new president, is gonna, not just bring communism, but really bring the whole country down and bring everything down. It's like, bro, you guys have no idea what's going on if you really think that way. All right, you got no clue. All right, and especially now, look, just going to the USA real quick. And the elections there. I mean, don't even get me started on what I really think about all that. But at the end of the day, it's just a clown show, I mean, really, it's really just, a clown show. And it's not an election, it's a selection. And they're basically, going to be guiding, what they want. And you can already see it. Like I said, this President Biden isn't even out yet. And he's already, creating executive orders that would be something like Trump would do. You know what I mean? Think about that. You know what I mean? Like, you would think that Biden, if he's really sticking to his guns and he's really, about the whole democratic whatever stuff, that he would just, he would be opening the gates even further. But he's not. He's not doing that at all. He's starting to implement things that, well, Trump said he's going to be implementing. And, and Trump, like him or, whatever you want to think about him, at the end of the day, Trump was doing a lot of things, like that were, very, blue or very on the Democrat side, okay? So they're all interchangeable. They're all the same. And that's really it, So when you come to Mexico, the reason you're coming to Mexico is to escape all that. Because people ask me all the time, it's like, hey, Jose, did you see what happened in the USA with blah, blah, blah? I'm like, no, I don't. I live in Mexico. So my internet, shows me Mexican things. I'm on the Mexican grid. And I don't use a VPN to go check out CNN or whatever it is in the USA. I don't care. That's a clown show. And it does not affect me at all whatsoever in any way, period. The end. All right. And so, yeah, when you're out here, it's a really great way to really remove yourself from the clown show of where you're at. And if you're really brainwashed to think that the Mexican president can have this insane amount of power like they do, like the president of Cuba does, okay, or Venezuela does, or the USA does, then you don't know what, you have no idea what's going on, okay? Like I said, the Mexican president, the cartels have more power, okay, than the Mexican president, all right? So I'll just leave it at that, all right? And it's just a different animal out here. It's just a completely different animal out here, and that's what I love so much about Mexico. Out here in Mexico, each state really has their own laws and their own power and their own situation, unlike the USA, where they still got to really function under that federal government thing. in the USA, yeah, it's not about free states anymore. No, it's about, you know, the state of the union, the state of the USA. It's the federal government dictates to the states what they got to do. But in Mexico, it's not like that at all. The Mexican federal government basically, this is like the law of the land. You can either take it or leave it. You know, hopefully you take it. You know, hopefully you follow the law. But if not, we understand. You know, you guys are all free and sovereign states, and you guys can basically do whatever you want. So, and that's how it is. You know, when you go to all these different states in Mexico, you realize very quickly that how different they are, and how they all have their own laws, and they all follow, and you know, how they want, and the guidelines how they want, and it's more free. It's really, 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 really free. So for anyone to think out there that now all of a sudden the new government of Mexico, the new federal government of Mexico is going to be able to, you know, clamp down and change everything overnight, it's like, bro, no, are you kidding me? You know, they pass a decree out here in Mexico, and it takes like a decade, you know, before they even look at it again to like, oh wait, oh, I forgot that we passed this. Oh, let's let's work on it. So, but anyways, yeah, it's getting interesting. I'll tell you that. You know, that's really, you know, really wild to see what's going on right now, where Mexico's deporting, you know, all these immigrants. Okay. By the way, they are not deporting you. They're not deporting Americans. They're not. So anyone that's coming from the USA, Canada, any of these countries, Europe, whatever, you guys come from rich countries, okay, compared to Mexico, okay? So you guys are coming from rich countries. Even though there's a lot of rich Mexicans that are now moving to Spain or other countries out there, and now they're the ones that are gentrifying. They're the ones that are now the rich expats, and now they're the ones that are doing what they're claiming you're doing here. But I digress. All right. The point I'm making is that they're not deporting any one of you guys. Okay. They're deporting basically the poor and the desolate that are coming from, you know, Latin America and other countries. Okay. Again, if you're coming from China or India and you got the money to keep making your way all the way to the U.S. border, they're going to allow that. But if you're coming, you know, with no shoes, you know, from Venezuela, all right, and you're asking for handouts, you know, as soon as you walk into Mexico, man, you're out. You're out. We're done. We're done. All right? We're done with you. Peace. All right? So that's going on, okay? And by the way, most of Mexico is behind this, you know, meaning all the Mexican citizens, for the most part, they're very approving of this, okay? They're very, you know, again, they're very happy that the government is finally doing something about it. Which, again, as soon as Trump takes power, which, by the way, who knows? It could be Biden again, all right? Whatever, all right? But the point I'm making is that, you know, once the elections are over, I feel like they're going to do something very similar in the USA. This is why they're probably going to be bringing in Trump, so that he, you know, he can really clamp down, okay? He can bring in that law and order and really start, you know, hammering you guys over the head like you want, right? Isn't that what the Americans want? So anyways, yeah, it's interesting to say the least. But yeah, anyways, oh man, wow, it's been 1 hour and 8 minutes already. Holy crap. Jesus. Man. And I didn't even finish my coffee. By the way, this is my second cup of coffee, right? I've had like 78 shots of espresso today. I do every day. I'm Cuban, all right? So, by the way, in case you ever wonder why all the Cubans in Miami are so crazy, it's because all they do is drink espresso and do cocaine all day, every day. All right? No, for reals. Have you been to Miami? Sorry. Anyways, I want to give a big shout out to all my new viewers and subscribers out there. I have seen there's been a lot of growth in the channel. I've noticed every single Thursday when we go live, the numbers keep going up and up. And there's a lot more people out there in the audience. So shout out to all of you guys. I don't know how many we got out there now. It says over here on my end, I got like over 188 so far. It's a lot. It's a lot of people. I mean, right now I'm just talking to a camera, and it's kind of like, you know, I'm talking to myself almost. But, I mean, I'm really talking to over 100 people here, almost 200 people. That's kind of crazy, right? It's like a small auditorium, you know, or a small... So it is pretty interesting, pretty, you know, pretty humbling, you know, to see so many of you guys out there. And it's making me do better. It's making me now, you know, even when I, you know, do these videos or talk about these topics, I'm trying to do research, and I'm trying to, bring you guys as much good information as possible. But at the end of the day, guys, one thing I'm always reminding you of is that I'm just one resource. There are multiple resources out there. But beyond that, you got to do your own homework. You got to do your own work. You got to do your own research. You got to do it. You got to do it. You can't be relying on a dumbass like me or any other dumbasses out there, okay, on YouTube doing whatever, or even the mainstream media dumbasses, okay? You got to go out there and do as much research as you can and gather as much information as you can from all angles. Like I said, today I was, as I was doing the research, putting the finishing touches on the research, before I went live today, I saw a video on CNBC, okay, mainstream media, that obviously, protects Biden and that administration very much, and they were being very critical of him. They were being very critical of the U.S. government. Which, again, if you read the comments, it was like, oh wow, this is the first time we've seen them, turning against the current government or the current regime. So, there's a lot of things going on out there. But at the end of the day, what I was going to say is that, don't just watch one news. Don't just watch one channel. You got to go out there and watch as much as you can from as many angles as you can, and then make up your own mind, okay? You got to, process all that information, and then you got to make the best decision for you, okay? And don't live in fear. Do not let fear, basically guide you, okay? Because it's not going to guide you in the right direction, okay? So you got to, again, grab life by the balls, okay? I don't know what else to say. And go out there and make it happen, all right? So right now, when I'm seeing all these people that are saying all these horrible things about the new president without even knowing anything about her, except what they hear on some of these conspiracy channels out there, it just makes me laugh. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, fine, whatever, man. Stay where you're at. Enjoy living in the shithole, hellhole that you live in right now. Keep complaining about that, and keep making excuses as to why you don't want to better your life and better your situation, all right? Because that's all it is. That's all it is. Because I'm out here and like I said, in the Yucatan, in Merida, and there's plenty of places. Again, look at Mexico. It's a huge country, very huge country, all right? In many areas that you can basically move out to, and you will never, ever, 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 ever have to worry about or deal with, the Mexican federal government or cartels or the U.S. government or anything like that, okay? So, yeah, you know what I mean? If you really, really want it, okay? If you really want that freedom, if you really want that better life, if you really want those things, it's out there, okay? It's just like anyone else. It's like someone that weighs 450 pounds, and they're like, oh, I'm never going to be able to lose weight. Bro, stop eating the fucking Twinkies. Put down the burrito. Put down the donuts, all right? Go take a walk, all right? And you can drop the weight, okay? Oh, you don't want to do that? Then shut up. Shut up, okay? Oh, you're not going to shut up? You're going to keep complaining? All right, I'm going to remove myself, all right? So you can complain to yourself. But that's basically it. That's basically it, all right? And that's it. That's all it is. So, and look, so for example, look, right now, okay, so right now I see someone in the audience, saying, she didn't help her cause by going on Twitter with the rainbow flag. Listen, okay? You gotta, again, what did I just finish saying? The people are the ones that run the country, okay? There's other entities that run the country. It's not her. So if all of a sudden she starts going way too far to the left, the people are not gonna, whatever. They're not gonna play that game. If you've ever been to Mexico, you see, okay, how they really treat the rainbow flag and the LGBT stuff, and how they treat all of that crap, okay? Again, I'm not anti-gay, I'm not anti-LGBT, I'm not any of that, okay? I am pro everybody, pro everything, okay? But all I'm saying is that this is a different game out here, okay? The people do not fuck around when it comes to any of that stuff. So pardon my French, guys, but all I'm saying is that if all of a sudden they start trying to push a lot of that same stuff, all right, that they're pushing in the USA and Canada out here, oh no, man, they'll go to the government building and they'll burn it down. They've done it before. They still do it right now. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, right now, you see a bunch of these kids, okay, out of college, coming from these you know what I'm saying? The same kids that are pushing the same crap in the USA, okay? And they're trying to, like, you know, oh, we're going to put the flag up, free Palestine or free this or free whatever, you know, all that crap. By the way, again, you know, just for everyone out there in the audience, I'm neither pro nor against, you know, anything that's going on in Palestine, Israel. I don't live there. I don't know, and I don't care. I don't care, okay? But all I'm saying is that all that stuff, okay, that they're pushing in the USA, you see little pockets of it here in Mexico, and man, you see how quickly the people extinguish it. Okay? They're like, no. You want to go throw a hissy fit? Go throw a hissy fit at your rich parents' house. You're not going to be throwing a hissy fit here. Okay? So it's the same thing. All right? You got to remember that she is a leftist president. Okay? You also got to remember, because most of you guys out there in the audience are old enough to know, okay, that the USA, okay, was very left, okay? We've always been very left as well, okay? And right now, we just gotten way too far to the left, all right? And things have just gotten way out of hand, okay? But at the end of the day, you cannot compare the USA to Mexico. Mexico is nowhere near where the USA is. And because of the strong family structure here, because of the strong religious foundation here, because of so many other conservative values that the country has, they just are not going to allow that. It's like, you want to be gay, you can be gay over there, but don't be trying to push that down my throat, or I'm going to slit your okay, I don't even want to get into it, okay? But no, they don't play that out here. Okay, so, you know, her having a rainbow flag, that's leftist. That's always been. I don't know what the problem is. You follow me? They're not pushing any of that stuff out here at all. All right, so it is a very, very, Mexico's very based. All right, Mexico's very based. All right, so there's a lot of gay people in Mexico. There's a lot of trans people in Mexico. But at the end of the day, there's two genders. All right, I don't want to get into all that. Okay, so it's like, you know, it's like, listen, you know, you want to be chicks with dicks. You know what I mean? That's great. It's good for you. Have fun. Go do it over there. Don't do it. Don't be doing that in front of my kid, or we're gonna have a problem. That kind of stuff. Okay, so it's like the people here, they still have the balls and they still got the power, okay, to basically allow or restrict certain behaviors. In the USA, it's the land of the man. I can't even say certain words out here. The land of the cuck. All right, I don't even want to say it. But long story short, the USA has lost its way. Okay, and the people have allowed the situation that we're in right now. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so since the people don't have the balls, okay, or the power, all right, to really, you know, push back, okay, on all of this agenda, well, that's why the USA is in the situation they're in right now. But Mexico, oh, they push back. They definitely push back. They're constantly pushing back, all right? It's a constant struggle, okay? Out here, gays are still scared to come out of the closet, okay? That's where that's at, still here, okay? So, no. You know, if you're trans, they allow it, but they also allow people to throw rocks at your head for being trans. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not for violence, and I'm not for, you know, no, I hate all that. I'm not for any of that stuff. But I'm just letting you guys know that Mexico is nowhere near, okay, where the USA and Canada are. Okay, you can't even compare. All right, so yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's where we're at right now, and so. It's not just that, you know what I mean? But it's just so many other things as well, including what's going on with the migrant crisis, okay? One of the major gripes that a lot of the Mexican people have with the crisis, okay, with all these migrants that are coming in and living in squalor throughout Mexico, is just that. You know, most Mexicans are like, hey, listen, we want to help and support you guys, you know, migrants. We want to help and support you guys. But we don't want you to live on the street. We don't want you to have your kids living on the street. We don't want you to live in tents without water, without a roof over your head, without any services. That's what the Mexicans are thinking. Okay? I mean, Mexico's in a different world, man. You know, they're not like in the USA. And things are just very, very, very different out here. And the main concern with a lot of these migrant camps and migrants that are in Mexico is just the fact that they are in inhumane conditions. And what Mexicans want, okay, is more than anything else is for these people to be in humane conditions. That's it. That's it. And I'm telling you, man, it's just, that's why I love this country so much. And again, I don't know what this new president's going to bring. I have no idea what Claudia Sheinbaum, is going to bring. It could be good or it could be bad. But at the end of the day, whatever the hell she's bringing is going to be a million times better than whatever the hell is going to be happening in the USA or Canada or wherever, okay? Any one of these first world countries, okay? So I'd rather survive the oncoming apocalypse, World War III, whatever the hell's coming here. Right now, they keep saying that there's all these Russian submarines and warships, around Cuba, around the USA. Listen, you guys are dealing with a bunch of crazy shit over there right now, okay? Like, no country is going to be attacking Mexico, okay? No, it's just, man. Anyways, so, yeah, I mean, it's just a different world out here. And, as the world is falling apart, good luck. Good luck with all that. I'm just going to be hanging out here, with my dog. I'm going to be hanging out here with, my wife. We're just going to be living our life and doing our thing. And here, I know you guys want to see my dog. He's hanging out with me. Hold on, let me show you. He's out here. Look at him. Hey, Gizmo. Oh, yeah. Wake up. Anyways, all right. Hey, bye. You woke up from your nap? See, look, he slept through through me screaming for an hour and a half here. But anyways, guys, I think we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. We gotta get going out here because I got another show to do real soon. Okay, so what's that? Hold on, let me see what's. Okay, sorry. All right, yeah, I thought he wanted me to let him out. So anyways, shout out to everyone out there. Really appreciate you guys. Love you guys very much. I'm gonna be going live on my other channel, Jose Unleashed, okay, in 30 minutes, okay? So literally 30 minutes, all right? I got a lot of things to do today, so we're going to see if we can go live a little earlier over there today. Today, we're going to be talking about why are so many people so stupid, okay? So that's what's going to be today's topic. Why are so many people so stupid? So I can really go off on my rant, okay? All the things that I want to say on this channel and I cannot say, I can say over there. Okay, why can I say them over there? Well, because that channel's still small. It's growing, and YouTube doesn't really give a crap about it yet. So I can go out there and really say what I have on my mind, as opposed to here. I'm trying to skirt around the with the censorship algorithm out there, so that I can give you guys as much information as possible without getting too censored. Okay, but even though most of the things that I'm telling you, I gathered from mainstream media or other channels out there that are media channels. So basically everything I'm saying is stuff that's already been reported. So I'm not saying anything new, or, I'm not putting on a conspiracy hat or, aluminum foil on my head or anything like that. Actually, I have I'm sitting on a pair of aluminum balls about the biggest you ever seen. Anyways, all right. So look, if you guys want to see me unleashed, you guys should go check out Jose Unleashed. I'm going to go live in 27 minutes, actually, to be exact, okay? So please go check me out over there where I'm about to go live, and, we're going to be talking about why there are so many stupid people out there, because I know that a lot of you guys, that's your main complaint, stupidity. Why are there so many stupid people out there? I remember when I was a kid, there used to be a book series. It used to be called The Stupids. You guys remember The Stupids? Whatever happened to them? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's everybody now. Anyways, everybody's the stupids now. But anyways, if you guys want more information, okay, free information, free o'clock, okay, free.com. If you guys want free information on moving to Mexico, moving to Mérida, Yucatan, all right, please go check out my website, okay? If you guys want to have a personalized consultation, check out my website. If you guys want to help support the show, whether you want to donate a few bucks, or you want to buy a t-shirt, or you want to follow me on Medium or Substack, or whatever, okay? Or you want to listen to this on Spotify, it's all the resources are there, okay? Even if you need a job, look at that. I got a whole list of jobs you can do, okay? There's no excuses, all right? I'm that guy. All right, I'm the guy. All right, the only thing I charge for, the only thing I'm selling, again, is t-shirts okay, and my time. Okay, if you want to take an hour of my time, I charge for that. Okay, or if you want to buy a T-shirt, that's it. Other than that, I'm not selling a course. I'm not selling, a resource. I'm not selling anything. I give everything for free. For free. Okay, to me, it's icky and weird that there's people out there that sell all this information that should be given out for free. Why is all this information so? Why are so many people out there holding all this information about moving or living in Mexico under a paywall? Basically it's like, only if you have a certain amount of money you can access this information. No, I don't believe in any of that. Okay, so that's why I like to provide everything for free. Okay, and I'm not against people out there making some money, selling, hustling, whatever. You guys do whatever you guys got to do, but I like to provide everything for free because the reality is that at the end of the day, you guys need to be able to do it yourself. Because there's many people out there that's like, I'm going to hire a facilitator, and then by hiring that facilitator, they're going to do everything for me, and I'm going to be set up in Mexico. Yeah, but look, that facilitator is not going to be there forever, and then eventually that facilitator is going to leave after they charge you whatever they're going to charge you for whatever, and then now you got to deal with living in Mexico, and then that's when most people, they just cannot hack it, and they end up leaving, all right, because then they realize, wait a minute, what did I do? They made it easy for me, and that's the thing. Nothing good in the world is going to come easy. You got to put in work. You got to put in that effort. You got to do all that stuff. Okay, so it's again just going back to losing weight. Okay, you can either take Ozempic, okay, or you can take some sort of magic pill or some magic drug or some magic whatever to lose weight. But you already know that's not going to end well. You really want to lose weight? Stop eating donuts and do some exercise, and not only are you going to lose that weight, but you're going to keep it off, and you're going to be proud of it, and you're going to be able to sustain that. And again, it's going to benefit you in so many ways that you're never ever, even realized. And as opposed to the other way around. So it's like, again, if you come out here and you do most of the things on your own, well, come on, that's just going to give you a ginormous leg up on living out here and really being able to stay out here for the long term. So, all right, guys. With all that being said, all right, I think it's time to go. I'm sorry. I know I go off. Now Gizmo has to be let out. I got to get out of here. So, all right, guys, you already know the deal. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for hanging out with me today. Thanks again for watching. And I'll see you guys on Jose Unleashed in a few minutes. And I'll see you guys here on Sunday. Every single Sunday, I drop a brand new video. And every Thursday, I go live, okay? And we have new topics. And last thing I'm going to say. If you guys have any suggestions for any future topics or what have you, please leave them down below in the comments. And I'll get to them. And, maybe I'll cover your topic. Maybe I won't. Maybe I've already covered your topic. And I can at least leave you a link so you can watch that video. So, all right, guys. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.